back, people, and today we're going to film on Jalin Conyers, Miami Dolphins UDFA tight end that they brought in. I'm a huge fan of this pickup. I actually made a video on him pre-draft. He was one of the guys I really liked as a late-round option, so getting him as undrafted is huge. I love his skill set and fit in that Shanahan-style scheme. That's why, like, if you listen to his interview after, he said the Dolphins and the Niners were the teams bidding for him, and they gave him like a pretty nice guaranteed bonus, which is always a good sign that these guys have a good chance of making the roster. And I think he's one of the guys that has a really solid chance. Listed at about 6'3", 260, tested really well. They're out here giving him wildcat snaps, his versatility to play in the slot, inline, move tight end. He's played some fullback. I think he instantly, out of your tight end room, is probably your second best with the ball in his hands. Like after Jonnu Smith, I think compared to like Julian Hill and Pharaoh Brown, he would be your best receiving tight end after those guys. And then also, like, he's improved as a blocker throughout his career. Like, he has the size to do it, so he doesn't need to develop, like, technique. But he definitely flashes the ability as a blocker. Really effective on these crossing routes. Good speed. Yak ability. Has some fluidity. Can make catches down the field. Like, I really enjoy him as a player. I've seen someone... I've seen it said somewhere, like, maybe there's not really, like, character concerns, but maybe maturity issues. So that could be something that holds him back. But as an undrafted guy, I mean, those are types of guys you take a chance on. He's a guy I expect to stick around in some capacity, whether he makes the team, which I think he has one of the better shots out of the UDFAs, or they keep him maybe on the practice squad. But some of the stuff he's doing out here is so exciting. So I'm a big fan of the Conyers edition. I really hope he makes the roster. I love his skill set and fit within the system. Some of these plays towards the end were actually the plays I broke down in the other video. So we're going to, go through this, break down all the different ways that he can be utilized. He's strong at the catch point. He's athletic. He's good with the ball in his hands. Now, he started his career at Arizona State, transferred to Texas Tech. There were times where, he didn't always get to start and, but when he got his chances, and he was usually the most productive tight end, and then he would actually also make an impact as a blocker. I think his final year at Texas Tech actually started showing some stuff. So we'll break this down, starting off top. Him isolated. He didn't always get to run like a full route tree at Texas Tech, but you can clearly see the movement skills and actually allow him to run routes down the field when he did get the opportunity in this, condensed alignment. He shows some route running chops here, which is where you can flash it. Working angles, sets up this DB. Like, look how he sets this up. Some dynamic movement in the lower half, shows some flexibility. Wide outside the frame, get this guy to move open. Sell with your upper body as well. Really beautiful route, cross face. Ball throwing kind of low. You make a tough catch too. With your hands. He's a good hand catcher. I think his hand catch technique can improve, but he still comes away with a lot of making some tough catches. So that's pretty impressive. And then he does stuff like this. This was when he back at Arizona State. To me, like I've seen him called like the Tyler, like the like poor man's Tyler Warner of the class. Actually, Terrence Ferguson, who went second round, another guy I thought was a scheme fit. He went to the Rams. Conyers was like my late round Terrence Ferguson, and you could see, like, look at the fluidity. Look at his hips here. Like when he changes up his angles, fluidity for a guy of his size. Like, look at his flexibility in the lower half on the hips, and to bend this back to the outside, have some speed to pull away. Doesn't quite score, but like he's got juice to his game for a guy of his size. Just an excellent fit in the Dolphin system, and feel way more like you could literally give him direct snaps. There's some Jonnu to his game, but he's much bigger than Jonnu, and I think could actually play some Y. Like, I would actually like if he took snaps from the Julian Hill on the team. I think that'd be great. The Dolphins love Julian Hill, so we'll see if that actually happens. But just seeing him run routes, making plays down the field, nothing too crazy in the route stem here, but just look at the speed. Like, maintaining speed through the cut there, and then making a catch above the frame with his hands in a contested situation. Really love the skill set that he has. The UDFA class in general is just actually really solid. I like Conyers, Armstrong, even a couple others, more than some of the Dolphins' actual draft picks. I'm going to try to get all these UDFAs done, but like there's some good stuff to work with. Here's Conyers as a lead blocker, finishing out in space. I think he could do a little bit better. Sometimes he slows down a little bit on these movement blocks. I think he can play a little bit slow. Like, he definitely wants to break down and square you up, but I think he could play with, with a little more urgency in these areas. But he does a good job here, like getting low, actually getting his hands inside. He needs to find more hand consistencies, but you can see the potential of being a blocker on the move, which is a big part of the Dolphins system. They've had problems with some guys like that. He's taken wildcat snaps, speed to get out to the edge, taking contact. He has some contact balance there to stay on his feet off the initial hit. Very impressive. He's a guy you can just work in the flat on some quick options. Like, think of the Dolphins seam rail flat RPO that they run. He would, I think, after Jonnu, be the most effective tight end you could use in that scenario. Even play some fullback snaps, so maybe they try to work him in at some fullback. I think that would be interesting. Good hands catcher, has the speed, the juice to pick up these maximum yards. Because I feel like if you look at the Dolphin system, usually when they throw this to anyone not named Jonnu, this would have been like maybe a 4 or 5 yard gain based on the situation. But he has enough speed to get around that guy and end up, turning that into like a 9-10 yard gain, which is really nice. And here's some blocking stuff. They run wham, which is they leave this guy unblocked, and him as the tight end has to wham down, take this guy to the play. He can do some like leverage and angle blocks. I don't think he's like a straight up guy on you, but if he needs to like down block or run like wham where he can attack you from a certain angle and leverage, he can displace you laterally, which he does here, and helps open up a hole for his running back. Pretty good work. Here he is as a lead blocker, throwing a body on a guy, finishing on top. I just think, he literally just needs to work on like the technical part of the game. But the reason I think he can improve, I don't think he's ever going to be a great blocker. I don't see that happening. But the fact that he did show improvement this last year, like if you go back to his previous years, the blocking wasn't good at all. To flash this season, it shows me that he can at least make him strides in that area. And he has the size for it, like the physical profile. So definitely needs coaching in that area. Here underneath, he's very comfortable running these like underneath crossers. He has the speed for it. He has a good feel for it. He takes like good angles to work away, juice to pull into the end zone. You can see it from this angle. He actually has multiple touchdowns working on these shallow crossers, which I would love for the Dolphins to run more of, because it's a big point that they can attack, especially when teams play a lot of too high and you have receivers like Waddle and Tyreek. I think having tight ends like him and Jonnu that can take advantage of it is really nice. Here he is inserting, finding the linebacker, inserts into the A gap right here, basically as a lead blocker, and is able to get, body on, bending at the knees, get engaged, stick with it for the most part, drive his guy down the field. Another example of him inserting and taking on a linebacker. Like I'm saying, like when he's able to attack these angles and work them more laterally with drive, now he gets a little leaned over the top, like the hand placement could be better. It's just, he throws like his head into people, but he's still able to get effective blocks even with poor technique at time, which tells me a lot. Like, look at it here, where look at him work this combo blocking down on this defensive end, and he completely displaces that guy laterally. He's the one finishing on top. His running back gets in the end zone. Here he is as a fullback, lead blocking. This is something you got to be able to do in the Dolphin system. If you're playing fullback, they do the style like angled, where you're selling stuff. He starts off like he's going this way, selling like it's going to be this way play side to commit this linebacker down, then changes his aiming point to be the lead blocker through the hole. Really bad technique. Like he basically goes low on the guy, throws his shoulder into him, almost like ends up grabbing him there too. But he still gets like an effective block to get the job done, even though his technique's really poor. He's on his knees, but he's able to seal him off. He's not really holding him. He kind of hooks him around the outside for a second, but doesn't get like a actual grip on him. But he gets on him long enough to seal that off. Here's another example of him throwing his body into people. Looks like he might be the Wildcat guy. They snap it to the running back. He basically lead blocks, throw his body into a DB, basically shoulder checks the guy. So he's got to work on his hands and his body lean and stuff like that. But still being able to have effective blocks with that kind of technique shows me that there's a lot of a room for improvement, but he can still have effective blocks from time to time. Here's another example. Guy working off the back of him. He doesn't want this guy to cross face, but since he does cross face, work him down laterally. Move with his momentum against him, which gives your running back a chance to stay tight, get down, and get into the end zone. So, not a terrible rep working against an outside linebacker there. These are reps where he actually got targets down the field. Didn't get to always run vertical, but like he looked pretty comfortable. Like you're tracking the football, making the adjustment, using your body and your big frame. Like look at the catch radius, the body control in air. You can see it better from this angle. Play like you're a basketball player at the rim. I think his hand catch technique could be better, but he still pulls onto it, hangs onto it. Another example of him at Arizona State working vertically. They kind of let him go accidentally, but he has the speed to hang onto it. And then look at the physicality, the contact balance to carry this guy at least a few yards. Ends up falling forward, but probably shouldn't have gained an extra 10 like he did. Here's another example of the shallow crossers. Conyers feeds here. He's faster than you think, man. Like he has juice to his game. He has flexibility. He has the toughness. I don't know if those maturity issues are true, But if it is, maybe that's the reason he ends up going undrafted. There's a few guys like I don't know why they went undrafted. I think Conyers should have got drafted somewhere. I think it's more understandable because he didn't always play a ton of snaps at times at his school, so maybe that had something to do with it. Armstrong, I still have no idea why he didn't get drafted, at least from watching him. But then he makes stuff like this: sell the block, get downhill, can separate at times, but also make tough catches, back shoulder. Love seeing that, making contested catches, contested situations. Big time work from Conyers. Here he is blocking outside zone, which I really like to see. Play side, he's not on the line of scrimmage, but he's basically attached to the line, a little bit off ball. Showing some lateral skills, showing technique. This is I feel like the best his body looks like technique-wise, in terms of like a wide base, some bend. His hands are inside the chest. He's starting to work his hips across. Now his running back is getting tackled already, so it doesn't matter. But from a technical standpoint and him moving laterally, and this is something you got to be able to do in the Dolphin system, especially when play side, using your hips, show that flexibility, the footwork to get the hips across. If the running back was able to work to the outside, that is exactly what you want him to be doing as a blocker. He didn't get to do it a ton at Texas Tech, but the time I saw it on film where he actually got that rep, it looked pretty good. So I could very much see the vision with Conyers. And the Dolphins have a pretty good history with UDFAs just across the board. Like a lot of them, a few of them, feels like a couple guys make the team each year, and some of them end up making impacts. And I think Conyers is one of those players. And honestly, in this UDFA class, I see about 4 to 5 guys that could make the team. And then I think there's another handful that could be practice squad guys. Some that maybe could be special teams players. I'm going to get through this whole class, but Conyers is definitely my favorite in terms of I've been a fan for a while now, and he's someone I loved in this system. So being able to get him as a UDFA when I thought he would be like a 6th, 7th round potential guy, it is really awesome. So if you guys did it, make sure to comment, subscribe.